Yeah. Shall we start?
So she is coming. She is coming.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So what? She's joining. Or what is happening?
So I called her. She said, "I'm coming. I'm coming."
Okay. All others are there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So anyway, one more minute. Yeah. Actually, today I'm trying this Google Meet. Uh, actually, university. If I use the university email ID, I could do it. But then I forgot the password of my university email ID, so I could not log in. So I have made a private this thing. So that is why that bprasad@bpquest.com. So new ID.
Yes,
I
sir.
have
Yes, sir.
to create. So up to September, it's free anyway. So after that, they will be charging. So I thought I wanted to do this experiment also. So I thought, okay, let me pick it up. Just one second. Hello. हाँ जी बस अभी एक क्लास है आज आपका गूगल मीट से कर रहा हूँ अभी अभी बच्चे आ गया अभी शुरू हो रहा है ठीक है Yeah. So, hello.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
I just give you the background of the unit 4. So, this the first lecture you have to see is this. You can see this that beyond microelectronics or oblique CMOS. This you can see. No, are you able to see the window?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So first, I mean, I don't know if any of you have gone through this lecture, April
Yes,
22nd
sir. I
lecture.
have gone to.
Yeah. So I think any issue in that lecture? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. I also gone through it. No, sir.
So I mean, some of the issue. I mean, if you have any clarification on that, it's okay. But the audibility and all those things are okay. I think in that. What do you say, Bhaskar?
Yes, sir. Audibility is clear. And
Yeah.
first lecture, na, with the
Yeah.
CM, bro.
Yeah. So actually, I did not get any help for the recording of the second lecture because I wanted somebody to join. Nobody joined, and even CM did not join. So I did it myself. So I did not know what has happened. There was nobody to correct me actually. So that is where these corrections become important. If somebody is listening, they will always point out that this is audible. It is not audible or what. So I just recorded it myself without anybody attending to it. So that was the mistake. I could not wait for more days. So this is one. And then the PPT for the second lecture. Have you seen this? That is on 23rd. That quantum devices. This is the PPT of the. Have you seen this? Second one, this PPT.
Yes, sir. I think I have seen this video.
Yeah. So PPT is there, and then of course the
Yes, sir, I
lecture.
have watched it.
Yeah, the lecture was posted in YouTube. That is lecture 2, unit 4. There are some issues are there. Yeah. So now, how to go about it actually? So what you will raise questions and we discuss that, or what is the way we are going to approach today?
Sir, we have a question. We have questions too, but I think you can make some of the background, and then we can ask some questions.
Yeah. So I will go through the PPT again. So I'll just open the PPT and then. Are you able to see this PPT?
It is not visible.
Okay, just wait a second. So I'll have to change. Is it visible now?
No, sir.
Still, it's not visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Visible, visible.
Yes, sir, now it is visible.
Yeah, yeah. So it takes some delay is there, so that's why it takes some time. Yeah. So you can see this the mesoscopic devices. So there we can see what is a mesoscopic device. Sorry. So this is one thing we need to understand, where the quantum physics is see the struct. See, normally when we talk of quantum mechanics is applicable to large subatomic particles and those geometries. Actually, few angstroms to few nanometers, but it's not like that. So it can quantum mechanical effects can be manifested even in a larger size. So such structures are known as mesoscopic structures. That is the meaning of mesoscopic devices. So whenever we talk of quantum devices, it is basically mesoscopic devices. The mesoscopic devices means quantum effects are significant, even though the structural wise you can, because you can probably see it with an ordinary naked eye or with a simple microscope, you can see the structure actually. So then, so that way it is not subatomic or atomic level. So few layers of molecules or a few atomic layers will be there. So that is the meaning of mesoscopic. Mesoscopic means the quantum effects are significant. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that was one thing. So that's that is what is explained in this slide actually. So before that, then the next slide. So what was the things which we have discussed earlier? Then that was about microelectronics evolution from going from few microns to nanometer nodes and things like that. So the emergence of omnipresent and omnipotent e-revolution, electronic revolution, or the IT revolution, which has happened. And in 2006, it was 65 nanometer. Now we are talking of 5 nanometer or 7 nanometer nodes and things like that. Then 2007 or 8, this has happened. I hope you remember about dark silicon. Do
Yes,
you
sir.
remember dark
Yes, sir.
silicon? The dark
Yes.
silicon era. So that is why you had to switched over to multi-core processors and things like that to take to avoid the dark silicon issues. You are going to multi-core. Then that was one approach. Second was because the power constraint was power dissipation was one issue. So you have presently you have two kinds of microelectronic chips. One is high performance and the other one is LP stands for
Low power,
it's
sir.
it's low power. It's not low performance. It is low power actually. So one is high performance because low performance is a negative term. So nobody use that. Of course, it will not be, the performance is inferior to HP, but still you don't say it is low power design. Actually, here our main design challenge is to keep the power minimum. So most of these portable devices, that consumer devices like cell phone, cameras, etc., you try to do that, except for the high-end kind of uh, chips actually. So this kind of so you have this in microelectronics, this has happened. You have introduced the multi-core as well as HP and LP designs, etc. So now we are in 2020. Yeah. So the question is, what is beyond 2020? So we are all expecting it. It has been always there that Moore's law is bound to hit the wall. So at least, so now the current roadmap, according to IEEE IRDS roadmap, this beyond 2020 also Moore's law will go for another 10-15 years. So probably after 20 years or so, Moore's law will not be anymore applicable. Like you can't follow that, because actually since 1960 onwards, this has been followed. So for 5 to 6 decades actually. So we need to look for alternative CMOS, and a lot of efforts have been going on. So then one of the approaches. So we have seen in the first lecture, I have reviewed some of those different approaches in the nanotechnology, like carbon nanotubes, molecular electronics, DNA based electronics, and all those things we have seen. So here we will be discussing only one category of this. So here the thing is, in the microelectronics, what was happening is, as we were miniaturization, the quantum effects were dominating. We have seen that the challenges quantum phenomena were posing into microelectronic devices when you are reducing the dimensions. You have seen the tunneling effects, then change in the threshold voltage because of the quantization of energy levels and things like that were happening. So the now a different kind of thought process. Why not join the enemy rather than fighting it? You take advantage of the physics or quantum physics to operate your devices. That was the idea. So this is a class of devices which was proposed actually. So this is so one approach is, you have a different type of architecture, the computational architecture you change. So that is the by changing, because basically when we talk of IT or electronic revolution, or it is basically about one major aspect is about the computation, because today any system you consider will have a computational unit into it. Any system. That is why you can talk of IoT and or Internet of Things and all those things, because computational intelligence is very important. So intelligence is given. So today, any system you consider is smart, and smartness comes through intelligence actually, and intelligence is given through the mainly come through the computational skills actually. So the system should be able to do it should be able to do the computation. The computation means it's about decision making. So it does some calculation and then it takes some decisions accordingly. So computational intelligence, the IoT, in the IoT, one of the main constituent is the computational intelligence. And of course, you need to read all those different parameters also. There are evolution happening. The sensors or array of sensors will be there. They will be collecting information and feeding, just like your human system or a living system. Best example is a human system. You get sensory inputs from your sensors, and then your brain process the information, and then you intelligently you take a decision according to. So that's what. So computational intelligence is the most important part of any system today. So emphasis will be the performance improvement is obtained using efficiency in computation. So different approaches are emerging, like you're using these are some of the architectural changes which we are talking of. In, then we are talking of the logic level, how you get the logic, because basically we were using for all the computation, we are using some of these logic gates. So how you get that? There can be different kinds of devices or combination of devices can be used for getting the those logic circuits. So that is the second approach. So that is the second thing which one can think of. Then other one is, because again, in almost all computation, whether it is human computation or brain, or it is other traditional machine computation, memory play a very important role, because you need to store. Very often we have a lookup table, so how will you recollect a uh, person? We kept it. You are all familiar with the lookup table now. So you have a lookup table. So you compare the data. So image processing is done. Many other processes are done using that. So memory play a very important role in any computation. So more on memory is always welcome. So changes in the memory devices or memory, the principle used in storing this has happened. Then of course non-classical CMOS, like you have the, again it is non-classical means it's not the traditional one which we have discussed at length again, like transport enhanced, like you have transport enhancement was obtained using strained silicon. Then you have a ballistic transport is possible, so that way the transport enhancement is possible. Then ultra thin body, a single gate. Then you have the source drain engineering, you make the modification that. Then ultra thin body multi-gate, that is what you have seen in the FinFET, etc. Then you have the quasi ballistic, etc. So these were some of the approaches which were which are proposed actually, and some of them are already implemented, some of them are in the research stage actually. So here some of the terms which we are coming across, this is discussed in the next. So see, for example, the cellular architecture. It is typically a parallel processing thing. It takes multi-core architecture design. So here, actually, you are going at the machine level. So that is the speeding up is obtained using that. So this is that is why it is known as cellular architecture, actually. So that is how the name came. So it's a different kind of computational architecture. So you are directly, because very often the high level languages you don't come across, you are not bothered about the computational architectures and all that. Whereas when you go to the low level programming, it is largely dependent on the machine. So it's machine dependent that way. So, but then the advantage is it allows the programmer to greatly optimize the code for the platform. But developing software won't be that easy. In case to case basis, you have to make the software actually. So that is the difficulty with that kind of. So that is about the cellular architecture. Then next one we have come across this RSFQ, actually rapid single flux quanta. It is actually you might have heard of this superconductivity. It is based on superconductivity. Actually, like when we were in masters or around that time, most of the people were talking about the superconductivity, and so there's people used to believe that the whole of electronics will be replaced by superconductivity. So if the one of the main issue, you understand the meaning of superconductivity? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, actually, the resistivity of the material is going almost vanishing, so that there is no loss of power. So you can, so that will be like most of the time your transmission losses and most of your electric power is dissipated as heat because of the resistance of the material, etc. So if we can develop some material which is having zero resistivity, or which is very often known as the superconductivity, so then you can design many devices around that. Then that was always welcome. So a lot of efforts have gone into developing superconductivity. Unfortunately, You know what? Most of the old superconductors, what is the temperature in which it works? Any idea?
So approximate minus 200 degrees Celsius.
It is 4 Kelvin actually. It is my 4 Kelvin will be minus 273. So that is about the liquid helium temperature, 4 degree Kelvin. So that is the liquid helium temperature. Most of the, and then people were attempting to bring it at least to liquid nitrogen. But the problem was with those kind of superconductors, the problem was the reproducibility was not there. So you make people were making all sort of mixtures and get some superconductivity effect at height. See, the major attempt was to bring it to room temperature. Nothing like that. If you can bring it to room temperature and get the superconductivity, if you can develop some materials with superconductivity at the room temperature, nothing like that. So there was a lot of efforts, but not very successful. I mean, limited level in the lab, it was successful, not room temperature, but liquid nitrogen and the things like that. So in that, one class of device is known as Josephson junction, actually. So Josephson junction, actually, it's like you have two superconducting material separated by a thin layer of insulating material. So there, the information is stored in the magnetic flux of quanta. And then in the Josephson junction, what happens is it's like tunneling actually. If the barrier width is small, the carriers can move from one superconducting layer to other. So a lot of devices are developed around Josephson junction. One of them is for the computational architecture. People have proposed this rapid single flux quanta. So that was one. So this is RSFQ. Yeah. No, anyway. So this anyway, you are familiar with this. The only thing we have to understand is here we are using the bulk properties of the silicon. Now, when we talk of, so far it's okay? Any questions?
No, sir. Okay.
No, sir.
So, when we talk of the new class of devices, I told you they are based on quantum mechanics. So, the quantum. So, when we talk of quantum devices, the important thing is this. You talk of confinement. You understand the meaning of confinement? What is the meaning of confinement? Yes. What do you understand by confinement?
Means to confine something in a small area.
Yeah, that's what is happening with us. We are confined to home now. We are not allowed to go out of the. So classic case is happening with us now. We are confined to home. We are
Yes,
not
sir.
allowed to go. So that is the meaning of confinement. We are restricting the movement. Actually, or the energy states available as far as the electrons are concerned. If we are not have, it is having only restricted energy possibilities. So that is the meaning of confinement. So in this case, see, normally when we talk of electrons, they can move in all the three dimensions. So that is so as far as the bulk is concerned, and that is what so far we are discussing. In all the directions, they are free to move. So three-dimensional electron gas is the concept which we use. So that means they are free to move in all. So there is no confinement. They are all can move in all the directions. Then you can introduce some restriction in one direction, only two directions. So you have a 2D kind of thing, one dimensional, there is a restriction. Other 2D, they have the freedom to move around. Then you have restrictions in one direction only. Then there is a class of devices or that is known as 1D. And then you can have all the three directions are confined. They're like our case, we are confined in all the directions, X, Y, Z directions. So then we say it is all the three. So depending upon that, we can get three categories of device. I'm leaving the bulk 3D out of it. You can have 2D, 1D, or 0D. So that is what is about the confinement. Let us see this. Yeah. So in the 3D, that is the bulk. So the 3D structures or 3D confinement, all carriers act as free carriers in all three directions. actually. So if a 2D structure is there, we talk of quantum wells. Actually, it is like remain in a well. Actually, that is why the well, because there are restrictions. It cannot move in the one direction. Other two directions it can move. It is like a something in a particle in a box or a particle in a well. So that is why the typical name well is used. So 2D structures are 2D confinement is there. Then we talk of the quantum well. Then if it is in the case of 1D, all the two dimensions are restricted. Only one dimension there is a free movement possible. Then we talk of 1D. That is typically other name for them is the quantum wires, and other one is where all the three directions there is confinement. Then we say zero dimensional or quantum dots. So these are the categories of quantum devices. You have quantum wells, quantum wires, and quantum dots. So these have very interesting properties. Quantum wells, quantum wires, and quantum dots have very interesting properties, and these properties can be used for making new novel devices. Which has so actually you will be studying a lot about this quantum devices or quantum well devices, especially in the third semester. In optoelectronics, one of the earliest application of quantum well devices were in optoelectronics. So you'll be seeing some of these optoelectronics devices made use of these techniques in your third semester. Anyway, so now there's a little more elaboration here. So this is the so we have this quantum wealth in films and quantum wires and quantum dots, zero dimensional. So sometimes these quantum dots are known as artificial atoms also. Sometimes people call it as zero dimensional devices or artificial atoms. Yeah. The important thing is, see, actually what we are interested is the energy distribution or density of state, how the electron energy or the density of different energy states are distributed over the different K plane. So that is what we talk of energy band structure. So we because that density of energy states will decide the properties. So depending upon that, it's electrical, mechanical, and other properties changes. So one can have different kinds of density of states when depending upon this confinement. So confinement is the key in all these cases. So you can see that, okay. So here you can see that the first one is the 3D. You can see this figure.
Yes,
So
sir.
when the carriers are confined, or then the density of states changes. So this is of a typically the bulk 3D structure. So that is what we are familiar, the density of states. And you can see that there is in the case of 2D structure, you have a step variation in 2D in your density of state. And then you can see in the 1D there is a different kinds of density of states, and in the case of 0D you have again discrete energy states and things like that. So this is the once there is a change in the density of state, its electrical, mechanical, and other properties, so all the physical properties changes. So that way we can take advantage of that to make the devices. So that is the fundamental thing in quantum devices. So basically you are playing with the energy band structure of the material. So you can say you can talk of energy band or band gap engineering. You can do the band gap engineering with this material or with this kind of structures actually. So the properties of this material will be changed drastically as compared to the bulk properties. So this you might have seen, or just like the other day I was discussing with Bhaskar. If you take gold, if you gold in the bulk, it has certain properties, including the color, etc. But if you take the uh, 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 nanoparticles of gold, it's many of the properties are changed actually. Even the color and all those things are changed. So that way there is the properties are changed because of this carrier confinement and the things like that. Yeah. So that is the idea. So now the question is how to get it actually. Now the question is, we need to create structures. It's quite easy. With one can do is using the technique used is you use the heterostructures. That means you use materials with different band gap. So that's what is shown in the next slide. Yeah, you can see this. So actually these layers. So in this actually the same material, silicon means it will be silicon only. Here you can see that you can restrict by the idea is, if you have a small band gap material and then both the sides or in any other sides they have a high band gap material, the carriers in the low band gap material will be restricted in that area, so they cannot be moving out into the high band gap. So that is how practically you can get this different structures actually. So you are doing that. You will be using no, you'll be using this heterostructures to do that actually. That means heterostructures means the different layers will have different band gaps. So the black one here you can see it is having a low band gap, and then you have the red one will be having a large band gap material and things like that. Or otherwise, what can do is, you are creating a physical barrier, or you can electrically also control it, but very often it is the physical barrier. And using your techniques available like molecular beam epitaxy, or using the atomic layer deposition or atomic force microscope, etc., one can get this kind of structures actually. So that is the way you get this confinement. That is the way to achieve it. So with this again another figure which shows this quantum confinement. Actually, when one thing we have to understand, when we are if you remember in the first semester we talked of energy band structure. So there what we were doing was we were bringing atoms closer together, and then they were forming. Here it is explained. So it was energy band structures were formed. Now we are going the opposite way. We are removing the atoms, so their energy band structure is changed actually. So discrete energy states will be created. Here the thing is, you are deciding what is the atom you are going to keep and what will be the neighbor, because the energy band structure is decided by the atoms and their interatomic distance. So if you can control the atoms and its neighbors and interatomic distance, you can change the band structure or the energy band structure of the material. Well, then we can get materials of your choice depending upon the application. So it is an application oriented approach. You want for a particular application, you want a particular energy band structure, you can tailor it according to that. So custom built materials can be produced in principle. So that is the idea of this quantum structures actually. Anyway, this is again a further expansion. So this is the basic thing about the quantum device. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
In the first video, you have said tunneling is inversely proportional to the width.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So can you explain?
See yeah, it's very easy to understand. Just 1 second. I will switch off the fan. Switch on the fan. I'm feeling very hot. AC is giving me trouble. Yeah. So we you have to understand. See, tunneling means something is crossing the barrier. So in the classical physics, we say that something can cross the barrier only over the barrier. So the barrier height has to be reduced, or we have to give sufficient energy to the carriers so that they can jump over the barrier. That is the classical picture. Now, so that is the movement from or the transmission from one side to other is decided by the height of the barrier. Now, with the emergence of quantum mechanics, a new formulation has come that it doesn't matter whatever be the height, if the width is small, then you can define a tunneling probability. So then that is why it is known as tunneling. It is not jumping over the barrier. So, so then you can talk of a tunneling probability. Now the question may arise how this is possible. So you are not considering the particle nature of the your electrons or whatever. You are considering the wave nature. So wave means it is spread over a certain space actually. So when we reduce the barrier width, there will be a finite amplitude of the wave existing in the other side also. So you talk of very often we talk of a transmission probability. The tunneling probability is defined in terms of transmission probability. You can see that the transmission probability will be decided by the width of the barrier rather than it doesn't come into picture. The height will not come. So there are 2-3 conditions for tunneling. One of the most important condition for tunneling is the width should be small, and then the second thing is there should be carriers available for tunneling to the other side, and then there should be empty states available at the other side. These are the 3 conditions to be met. So we talk of transmission probability decided, which is decided by these 3 factors. One is the width of the barrier, because you can it will be inverse relationship with that, and then you have the carriers available for tunneling, and the other side there should be empty states. So these are the conditions. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So actually, and okay, this was originally proposed, and then many of the physical phenomena could be explained or that. So the experimental proof of come. Even we had this tunnel diodes or the tunnel diodes were there. Then some of this, I think, alpha decay or beta alpha decay was also explained. Many of those old in physics, many of the physical phenomena could be explained based on that. Now, of course, it is well accepted that tunneling is possible, that the gate current in small geometry devices or gate leakage current is basically, it was found that it is due to tunneling. And then this Josephson junction, which I talked of, like where it is, of course, it is associated with superconductivity, but there also the insulator layer should be very thin. Then only that tunneling of that. There we talk of Cooper pairs actually. So it is in the superconductivity we talk of Cooper pair, so that Cooper pair can tunnel through the barrier. So all these cases, the width is important, play a very important wherever we talk of tunneling. Yeah.
So SAT is also
Sir,
based on tunneling, no?
Pardon?
So SAT is also based on
Yeah.
tunneling.
No,
That's what.
actually, there it is explicitly tunneling doesn't come. Set the single electron there you are controlling the movement of single electrons. It's not. It's not explicitly tunneling phenomena is not coming. Whereas RTDs, resonant tunneling devices, there it is. RTDs are based on tunneling, basically.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
sir, what is RTD?
Actually, RTD is a resonant tunneling device. Actually, I have posted a separate. Have you gone through that PPT? That is a separate
Yes, sir.
PPT. Yeah. So there we can see that structure again, because as I said, one other important thing for tunneling is the barrier width should be small. Second thing is there should be carriers available for tunneling. Third thing is there should be empty levels available. Now, when you change the electric field, you will see that at certain conditions, there will be maximum empty states available to the other side, and there will be maximum carriers available for tunneling. Then the kind of resonance takes place. You understand resonance, no? In physics, we often deal with the resonance, actually, resonant frequency and things. So that time, maximum transmission takes place. So there will be a peak in the current. And again, when you change that condition will not be met, there won't be any tunneling. Because for tunneling, three conditions are to be met. So in the resonant tunneling, we take advantage of that, actually. You got the point?
Okay.
See, the thing
Yeah.
is, one side you have a large number of carriers, other side large number of empty states are available. That is controllable. Those okay, thickness you cannot control. Thickness once you fabricate it, it is fixed. But the number of carriers available at the other side and number of empty states available at the other side, it is under your control. When they are matched, they are maximum. One side the maximum carriers are available and maximum empty states are available, the tunneling will be maximum. Again, there will be certain conditions. By again, electrically you can change electric field. You can change. Then what happens is then empty states will not be available at all. Carriers may be available at the other side. Then the tunneling will be minimum. So that way you will see the change in the current. And this tunneling takes place at a very high velocity. It's almost the velocity of light. This kind of so that way high-speed devices can be developed using this. Actually, that is the beauty. So that is what
Okay.
is the meaning of resonant tunneling. So there is a resonance also. Resonance in this because of this term, the resonance is used. You can see that figure, I mean PPT, and read it again. So that is the central idea is this. There is a resonance because of that. This matching between this empty states and the filled state at the other side. Yeah. So,
Yes.
and tunneling is taking at a very high speed or high velocity. So you can use it for various developing various switching devices. Actually, that is why the importance of RTDs. Yeah.
So in Z there is a term Kulam Islands, uh, in between of two isolated
Coulomb,
junctions. Kulam Island. Oh, Kulam Islands.
Coulomb. It's a
Sorry, sorry,
Coulomb
sorry.
actually. It's a Coulomb charge, single electron. So it is a Coulomb charge. So you are talking about that. Yeah. So
So what is it, sir?
and I need to go to that PPT to explain. Let me see whether it is there in this. Can you see this single electron? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you see this? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Single electron transfer.
So it is like this. Here, this is what you are talking. This island.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So here, actually, again, that way the tunneling is you are taking advantage of tunneling here. So you are by controlling by this gate voltage. Actually, the electrons are transferred between source and drain using this intermediate. You have that island. So the gate is that way. It is similar to your MOS structure, actually. But only thing is, it is you are considering single electrons or a small quantity of electrons. It's unlike your traditional devices where a large quantity of devices are there. So you see the insulator thickness is of the order of nanometers. So I think I should correct myself. So that way it is tunneling through that insulator actually in the set also. Earlier we were saying it may not be, very often we don't attribute tunneling, but that transport process is tunneling here also. So that way your earlier question. That, so it is tunneling through the insulator actually. So. So it is actually two islands are there. So that in between you have so they cannot move through the tunnel through only through the insulator. Then you talk of the Coulomb island. That is what the thing is. So here again, The important thing is here again the speed is and it is controlled electrically by that gate voltage. Second thing is the speed with which it's moving is quite fast as compared to the traditional devices. So it is a very fast and structurally it is a very small one. So that advantages are there. So and others with the same time you get very high speed. The tunneling takes place at a very high velocity. So you can take advantage of the size as well as the speed. So you can develop devices around that. That is the idea. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, the cap is like gate. Yeah,
Which one? This one. Yeah, this
this
one.
right.
Yeah, yeah. It's gate actually. So that is why you can control electrically the
Yes.
transmission of. Yeah. So that is that because you need electrical control now. Otherwise, you cannot use it for a practical application. When you are talking about electronic devices, you need to control them electrically or magnetically. See, sometimes nowadays you can talk of magnetic effect also. So magnetically, you can control them, but the idea is there should be some control using either electric or magnetic because you have a branch of electronics coming up, which is spintronics, where the magnetic effects are used actually. The spin of the electrons. Normally, in electronics, we take advantage of the charge of the electrons, whereas in the spintronics, normally it is used for memory devices. There we take advantage of the spin or the magnetic spin of the so that we can control either magnetically or we can control electrically. So most of the time we are would like to control electrically. So that is there. Yeah. Yeah. So I just show you the tunneling devices, resonant tunneling also. Just let us have a quick look at that. Can you see this? Hello?
Hmm. Not now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
RTD. Yeah, RTD. So just let us see. I think this is the one that I wanted to show. Yeah. Yeah, here you can see this condition. So you see that it is initially increasing, and then because of the there is a peak resonant voltage, and then it's like a tunnel diode characteristic actually. You see, so then when you're increasing the voltage, the current is decreasing. So you have a negative resistance region and the things like that. So this is a kind of thing. So correspondingly, what is happening with the band structure is shown below. So this is what is happening.
I
Okay,
think figure is not visible to us.
here is not visible.
Picture is not visible. The first page of PPT is visible to me, at least.
Let me go slow.
Prashant,
This is
is
visible.
it visible to you?
Is it visible? Resonant tunneling devices a review. Is it visible?
Review is the review is given visible, sir.
Full thing, full title. My name
It's a
also you
full
can read.
title. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Next one. My system, there is a problem. Is visible?
Yes, sir. Now it's changing.
CMOS scaling has been the
Yes, sir.
key
Yes,
to
sir.
perform here. Then research, then this, then this. So, so So this is what this figure is visible now.
Now, yes, sir. Visible.
Yeah. So here you can see that the current and voltage relationship. It's like actually if you have gone through the tunnel diode, you will see that a similar kind of characteristics. So because this is it happens because of the this thing actually, the conditions, the resonant conditions are met, and then the number of available states will be getting reduced, so the current will not be increasing with the increase in voltage. The current rather will be seeing a decrease in the current. So that is known as negative resistance region. And then again, the traditional, like more, carrier motion. So this is the kind of thing. So this is a resonant voltage where you have the maximum current. So this is what happens in the resonant RTDs actually. Again, here the thing is, it is a very high speed device, and this region also can be used for making oscillators and things like that. Negative resistance region can be negative differential resistance. There are a lot of applications for that, and speed is quite high. That is advantage. And the structural wise, its geometries are very small, so that advantage is there. So there are other examples. Anyway, you don't have to worry about these examples. There is one more. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, you have to go through in detail about the basic working. At least you should know, and what are the possible applications. We will not go into specific applications. You can wait till your third semester, because quantum wells and those kind of applications we will be studying. Probably you are studying about. I think you are opted for some this nanotechnology papers also.
So I
Uh,
have opted.
Yeah, what are the topics you are discuss there?
Sir, I have only attended one class. The basic review about the nanotechnology. What I have told to you that the physical properties and the chemical properties have changed at nano
Yeah,
scale.
that we have already discussed in one. But this
Yes,
is
sir.
a one semester class actually. This is not a 1 hour class actually.
Yes, sir. Actually, no. And then after that, no class has been.
Okay, okay. It's in physics, huh?
Yes, sir. Physics.
Okay. Actually, physics for understanding nanotechnology, physics is very important. Plus, and it can be synthesized used to chemistry. Using chemistry, like a chemical process is a very, so that way is very, and then most of this biological process are so that way it's a convergence. So nanotechnology is essentially a convergence of all these fields. Of course, engineering will be there. Engineering, because when you talk of applications, the engineering will naturally come in. So it's a convergence of all these things actually. A lot of interesting things can happen at the nano, like where everybody is getting into nano actually. So I thought that you might have covered the other aspects of various other applications of nanotechnology, because that is very interesting. For example, for the medical treatment like cancers and this diabetes management, etc. So those are very like microfluidics and all those things. And anyway, those things are not covered in your course, it seems. You have not seen the syllabus also.
Yes, sir. I have seen the syllabus, but I not did not get any the like book and all to study at home, and there is no lecture of that some
I
subject.
don't know which. Actually, there is one symbol book by Pradeep, actually, one T. Pradeep, or by IIT, is a browser that is available. The PDF forms are available online, I think. So that gives a, review of nanotechnology, actually. And some of this, probably it could be useful, because you need to there you need a broader picture only. What are the things involved in nanotechnology? That is all. Some of this, I don't think you need to go into the details about the characterization techniques and all those things. A lot of articles are available online also, because I mean, I mean, I think I may be having, but then I don't know to what level you have to go. So that is a problem. So, but there are a lot of review articles available on nanotechnology. So Because it is, one should, when you're talking of nanoelectronics, and when you're getting a master's degree in any branch of science today, you should have some understanding of what is happening and what is nanotechnology and what are the basic features of nanotechnology. One should know actually. Nobody can run away from that. Even I also attended one 2 weeks program just to get an idea about the nanotechnology. That was long time back. That was something around I think it was uh, before 97, 98 also. The IIC Bangalore was giving some orientation program for faculty for this. So I got a fairly good idea about this nanotechnology. I mean, it's a lot of interesting things. So it's good. Yeah. So, but there are a lot of online resources available on.
I can check.
Yeah.
I think Google Meet is more reliable than Hangout.
Yeah, actually, this Google Meet is made for this kind of interactions. Like Google Hangout is just for video chat. It is like Skype. So,
Yes, sir.
actually, last this Corona has given me one thing, because I was exploring all these things actually. I started with, I told you, with the Skype. First week we were using Skype. Second week we went to Hangout. So this I had already used this. So I was confident in using Skype and Hangout. Then I had this. There was a meeting on Faridabad Academic Council meeting was there by MCA University. So they were using Zoom. So I got interested in Zoom. So I went started using Zoom afterwards. So I thought of using Zoom, but we didn't have any much classes after that. So, but I got from, and again, my neighbor is a professor in public ad. So he wanted to record his lecture. So I was helping. All these days I was helping him actually, even though I was not doing my work, but I was helping him. So I was sitting with him, and because the problem in India is, if you are not a student of science, very often the technology is something very Greek, because some we may feel it's very simple what is there, but they will struggle actually. So I was helping in with all these things. He also started with the Hangout. Then I suggested Zoom. Then we found that this Google Meet is quite a useful thing. So, and Zoom, there were some complaints about Zoom coming up. There was like say privacy issues and all those things were coming up. And then another problem with Zoom is the free version. It is only for 40 minutes. So after 40 minutes, it will stop. So that was the problem. So then Google Meet, the problem is you need to go for the G Suite. There is a package they give, and that is not free actually. So
Okay.
then the G Suite was but for the university, people who are having university has already bought the G Suite, and those who are having the email ID, that kuk.ac.in, they can take advantage of that G Suite. But unfortunately, I forgot the password of that, so I could not. But my friend could use it. He's using G Suite, so I found it useful. So I thought that I should also. Then I made a private this thing, that personal. So that is why my email ID is also changed. That B Prasad. That I cannot use the kuk.ac.in because I don't have the password. So I made, and fortunately for me, they have made it free up to September. They are in competition with Zoom. So that is one thing. So another one that was I found was WebEx meeting. Actually, that was Cisco's WebEx meeting. Also, I explored. So unfortunately, the quality of the recording was not very good. That last recording was done in using WebEx meeting actually.
Yes,
So
sir.
that the problem is it is created in a format. They have a different player, so their format is different. Then you have to convert it into this MP4 or WMV or something like that. So it was converted twice. First, it was converted to WMV. Then it was WMV was converted into MP4 and things like that. So all the conversion process, a lot of data is lost actually. So you don't know if the original quality is poor, then all others are also subsequent conversion also will deteriorate the quality of the. So that is what is happening. So Google Meet is actually for uh, for a academy as well as for the companies. It is quite useful. So I
Yes, sir.
found.
At a low speed of data, there is no
Yeah, it is.
fluctuation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is true. Actually, that is where there the quality of the video is not very good. Whereas in Zoom, we will get a better quality. Actually, that is there. Zoom quality of the video is better, but then the data usage also will be more. So, how are you managing with your data? You are getting you are using the phone, or what is you have some?
Yes, sir, I am using the phone. Sir,
Uh,
I have a disadvantage of it
yeah.
because I want to buy a laptop before a lockdown. Before one day of lockdown, me and
Or,
Prashant buying a laptop. I have decided to buy one laptop, and I want to go to the Delhi to buy this.
okay, okay, fine.
After that, the
Yeah.
lockdown is there.
Yeah, now we never know when it will be over. By hope by sometime by next year you will be freely. You will be able to go to a market and buy something. So, especially in Delhi, we don't know. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
only
Yes,
online option might be opened after 1 or 2 months. Probably by July, Amazon or Flipkart you can get that
yes, sir.
is
Yes, sir.
yeah, or local vendor like in Kurukshetra and our local vendors. So actually, I got this webcam during the lockdown because some local vendors were there fortunately. So that Delhi you may not have that kind of advantage. Small places you have that advantage. So
Sir,
they
they in my city there is a red zone, so complete
no,
seal in my.
yeah, yeah, that is what. So 2 days back, my neighbor wanted to have a cell phone. Actually, she's a teacher here. The problem is they are in touch with the students through WhatsApp and all those things. So every day, phone is an essential commodity for not for telephone, but for other activities. So I understand many of the people are sharing their lectures and all those things using WhatsApp. Actually, I don't know any of our department people are doing, but most of the other departments people are sharing their information with WhatsApp. Actually, the lecture notes
So,
and all those things.
so VKs are doing this.
Yeah, so many.
Basically,
Yeah.
he used to online for an
Hmm.
hour and 2 hour by deciding time mutually, and then the small audio of by explaining one or two page, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
this is continuous.
yeah. Most of the people are doing that. So I mean, what I'm saying is a lot of usage of phone that way. I mean, which I cannot do it anyway. So I hate to do that. And I somehow many people are very well like they do very well this voice messaging. They record and I just can't do that actually. In our place, it is very common. Actually, voice
Yes, sir.
messaging in down south uh, is
Sir, it
very
is a easy
popular.
way. I think
Pardon?
it is a easy way to send a
Yeah,
message to
I don't
someone.
know. Somehow I am not able to do that. Like people are saying that, but I cannot do it actually. So and
Sir,
then typing, getting all those letters properly is also difficult. Like otherwise, I have to use a specs and all those things. So I don't hate to do that. So,
this is generally
uh,
lazy person do that.
but I
What
think
do you
I
think,
am the
sir?
I consider myself to be very lazy. But anyway, but I cannot. And then the other one which I hate is people use see suppose I don't mind people sending me message in Hindi, but they will write Hindi in English and similarly Malayalam also in English. I hate that actually. क्या कर रहे हो? If you write, I will be spending a lot of time to understand if to first read it and then translating it to Hindi and then understand. If it is written in Hindi, it is easy. And similarly, many people from Kerala also do the same thing. They will write Malayalam in English and send it. And I struggle with that. If they are writing in Malayalam, it is very easy for me to understand, actually.
Yes, sir.
So,
Basically, it is a English called as Hindi plus
mm,
English.
pardon?
Sir, it is basically a English, not English.
Yeah,
That is
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I struggle with that. Either you speak in one, I mean, like English or Hindi, but I don't know. Most of the people are doing this, but I hate to do that actually. Yeah. Anyway, so this Google that way Google Meet you can also use. You have a email ID of you can try that actually. So if you want to have exchanges between you people like your among your classmates, I think you can also host this using Google Meet actually. So the advantage of Google Meet is you can record. Google Hangout, the problem is you can't record actually. Suppose for future, if you want to use those recordings, you can. It is better to use Google Meet because otherwise Google Hangout you cannot record actually. So that is a difficulty. Zoom also you can use Zoom. See one to one if it is one to one. it is 40 minutes. It is, there is no 40 minutes restriction. So that is what
Yes.
we might have noticed. First lecture was recorded. It was beyond 40 minutes, but it was because it was only one person was attending. Only CM was there, so there was no problem. So otherwise,
It
it
was
is 40 minutes restriction is there. So
okay.
Zoom is good to one or Google Meet. If you have that KUKAC, you have that email KUKAC dot email.
No, sir.
You don't have that student email ID is not there.
Sir, I just forget. I think.
Same story in my case also. Anyway. Yeah. So they Google Meet is good that way. But the problem is this you need for recording and all those things. Otherwise, you have to pay. Yeah.
Yes.
So what else?
Okay. It's,
So others have what happened to the ladies? They are all slept off or left or slept.
sir,
They are
I think Farad saying I lost my connection.
okay.
Farad lost my connection.
And Alka also, I think she is also not there. I think.
Yes, sir. He is on there.
Okay, they were slept and the connection also lost anyway. Anyway, so if they have any specific issues, we will have they can discuss with me. Otherwise, assume that. Yeah. Anything else?
No, sir.
So I think you want the test on Tuesday only, not on Monday.
Yes, sir. On Tuesday.
So the around 11:30.
Sir, 11:30. Okay.
Okay, then if any change is there, I'll let you know, or you can let me know in the timing as well. So we'll try to finish it on Tuesday itself, but the timing is adjustable. We can switch the time
Okay,
according to
sir.
our convenience. If in case last minute some changes are required because some other classes or something is there, we can change. I'm a very adjustable person, so don't worry, we'll do that. Okay,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Prashant is there, yeah, or is not there?
Ishan.